With the Advantech subfloor assembly, you can be sure that you're building a reputation on something stronger. And the best builders, well, they may always stand apart, but they never stand alone. So ask yourself, are you bringing your A game?
Welcome back to the UnBuild It podcast. I'm your host this week, Peter Yost. And as usual, I have my good friend Steve Basic, the architect.
Hello.
And handsome Jake Bruton, the builder.
Hello, hello.
And this week, we're doing a second Q&A. We had some really cool questions come in, and we're going to tackle a couple of them.
And by second,
What makes a really cool question?
Ones that appealed to me. How does that sound?
and by second Q&A, Peter means like fourth or fifth.
Yeah, that's right. I think because we called it Q&A too, but
Okay.
It's not. It's the third or fourth. But we get good feedback from our listeners and viewers, right?
And thank you for sending questions.
Yeah.
Because that's why we have this content, is because you sent the questions. And the garbage questions we didn't use, by the way.
right, we only use the top tier questions. But the first one, and these are really good ones because they're about the industry in
So
general.
we have
but
really cool top tier questions to look forward to.
Aren't you happy you agreed to
bait me.
host?
So the first one is, what is Pretty Good House? So I was actually doing a training, and one of the co-trainers was going on and on about Pretty Good House, and you could tell he was talking about it like it was a program. But since the people in the room were builders and architects new to high performance, they didn't know. He assumed they knew there was that Pretty Good House was something beyond just two adjectives and a noun. And it's not. There's a whole.
Why is he huffing?
So I'm frustrated.
Uh-oh.
You're also really far away from the mic.
I'm frustrated.
And
How's
that's
that?
close
Better?
and loud.
So
Here we go.
should we go first to what is Pretty Good House and then let you vent
Yeah,
your
that's
frustration?
fine. Go ahead.
So what's Pretty Good House?
I think of it as aw shucks version of Passive House. No offense, Michael.
I
No
love
offense.
that. I'm delightfully surprised.
It's a building standard.
Yeah. So there's a prettygoodhouse.org, right?
Yeah.
There's all kinds of green building advisor blogs on Pretty Good House. And then there's a brand new book
Written by.
written by, let's see, four authors, Michael Maines, Daniel Colbert, Emily Mottram, and Christopher Briley. Yeah. So, and that's hot off the presses, isn't it?
I believe so.
But the Pretty Good House was,
I'm not at the end of the press, so I wouldn't know.
You're
Are they really hot
pressing.
when they come off?
I don't know.
You're being a little bit literal. So on Green Building Advisor, there's plenty of discussion about, what if you don't want to go to Passive House, but you want to make sure you hit the key elements of getting it right? Probably managing energy and moisture with equal intensity along the way.
Is this going to be one of your complaints about labels?
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. So now that we've set such good base of what Pretty Good
No, I'm
House
not going
is.
to talk now. Go. I want to talk more about Pretty Good House. Go ahead. I want to listen. I want to carefully listen.
No, we want to hear why you're
not saying
frustrated with Pretty Good House.
I'm not saying anything. You're not going to bait me like that.
Wait a minute, you just said that you were full of frustration and you're gonna
Doesn't mean I want to talk about it. Just
No.
means I'm
This
full
is
of
a
frustration.
Oh,
podcast.
I didn't
Steve.
realize I was married to you all of a sudden. Where we're going to have feelings
a
that we're not allowed
podcast.
to discuss.
People want to hear what you have to
No,
say.
I'm not going to discuss my personal feelings.
It's not about what we want, it's what our viewers want and listeners.
Well, look at him sympathizing with the viewers all of a sudden. Mr. Social Media.
How did this turn out to be
Okay.
about me?
What is it? Let's hear it.
So I'm frustrated because when are we going to become an industry without labels? Like, okay, Passive House isn't good enough. Let me create my own set of labels and we'll call it Pretty Good House. What if I said maybe Pretty Good House? That's still too strict for me. I'm going to build the Almost Good House.
The almost good house.
Yeah. Or the Above Code House.
So this is sort of a philosophical question about our building
Well,
industry.
the problem is every time we draw a line in the sand, I think we lose sight of what we're actually trying to do, right? Because what we're actually trying to do is elevate the building industry. So to elevate the building industry means we have to kind of unify, become one, and have a uniformed target, right? So passive house isn't a uniform target because there's a lot of builders I know that don't even know it exists. So never mind targeting it. Pretty good house. And all this stuff is good. I get it. But the problem is that when you start talking about this stuff, we lose sight of what we're really trying to do. And what we're really trying to do is take someone's budget and someone's dreams and marry them with good, sound, professional decisions made by the builder and the architect and whatever consultants to develop a matrix of a house that is the perfect solution for them.
Do you think about these programs the same way you think about the code? I mean, isn't the code just trying to get everybody on the same page?
No, because all the code really cares about is a minimum life safety standard. Like, people aren't going to die if we build the house this way.
Well,
right?
yeah, but the code now includes elements related
No, it does have some
beyond
building science.
safety.
So we have some health, we have some comfort issues, et cetera. So it is expanding that way. Yes, it's moving in that direction. But it's just like, how many labels? Like, we have LEED, we have passive house, we have this green building initiative, we have that pretty good house, we have, all kinds of stuff. When I just sit there and say, why can't we just design a good house based on these decisions?
Well, to play a little bit of devil's advocate, it's easy for you, or easier for you, because you've had 20 years of experience. You've worked under Joe Stiebrick and Betsy Pettit. So you're pretty confident in your ability to take the budget, take the client, and include the essential principles that are needed to not get yourself in trouble and to deliver things like comfort, durability, and durability.
Yeah, because there might be a function of aesthetics that don't allow me to quite get to that level of the label. But that doesn't mean it's necessarily a bad house, because there could be a handful of components of decision making that exceed that label, right? So in the end, I'm kind of averaging out or better, but I won't make the label, if you will.
Well, and to now sort of jump onto your side of this situation, when I was working as co-developer of the Lead for Homes program, it's like everybody's going to end up chasing points anyway. But the U.S. Green Buildings LEED programs have really moved the industry, right? So that's always like, well, we need these programs for market transformation. We need to create sort of common goals. And yes, people are going to chase points, but they're going to learn a lot along the way too. So
chasing points is still going to put you at a better ending point than not.
And it's difficult to participate in any of these programs without learning more about how buildings work. So I can't stand them either. They drive me crazy because people want to hang their hat on it. Sometimes they're even a little bit cult-like. But
The passive house people being cult-like?
No.
What?
I didn't say passive house. I was just talking about programs in general.
Sorry, I heard the passive house people were cult-like.
That's okay. If you say it twice and I've never said it, it doesn't change the fact that I didn't say it.
So Jake hates, you hate passive house people now.
Along with the military.
Bring it on, passive house nerds.
So I can understand, and I can definitely appreciate what those gentlemen and lady are doing. I can totally appreciate it.
Here. They're really trying for something noble.
I get it. But every time we do kind of a set of labels, you divide the industry into those that will do, those that won't do. Right? Instead of, we should be an industry of we're all trying. And
yeah, but there's plenty that aren't trying. And
there's probably always going to be plenty that aren't trying.
Yeah.
So whether you have labels or not, I don't know. Labels are
okay. How about if we say
discriminatory in my view?
Those that are interested in a program that has good recognition of the relationship between building science and energy efficiency, a pretty good program about that is to take a look at the Pretty Good House program. The elements of it we basically agree with, right?
Yeah,
and they've done
they're
good
great
work.
informed starting points and goals.
And if you're not reaching passive house standards, but you want to make sure that you get the right combination of durability, comfort, energy efficiency, the Pretty Good House represents a version of that.
Yes, I agree.
Yeah, good.
Very diplomatic, Peter.
Yeah, well,
That's what Peter is, Switzerland. Mr. It Depends over here. Can't take a stance on anything.
You said it depends. I thought you were just calling him Mr. Depends.
No.
see, what I was going to say is there will come a time when I want you to speak much more carefully about the word depends. All right. Speaking of which, for the next one, I think I have to put my glasses on. Okay, yeah. So this is related because I get this question all the time. I would like to know, how do I go about finding a high performance builder?
Oh, I get that question all the time.
or
People
hard
ask me,
performance
where can I
architect.
find a good architect?
Besides calling you, is that what you're saying? Yeah. So
Okay, so I get once a week. I live in
So Jake has a measurement statistic here.
I get once a week. I live in northern Ohio. Do you know any builders that do the like-minded stuff that you do in my market? And I'm just going to blanket statement, probably no. The builders that I know that do the kind of stuff that we do are in a couple places. Like, I don't have the whole country covered. So if you live in northern Arkansas, I don't think I can help you. However, my starting point for everybody is see if there's a HERS rater or a BPI rater in your market and ask them to start out with. And I had somebody say, what about talking to the lumberyard? And I thought about the lumberyard that we buy stuff from. No, they're going to recommend whoever builds the most houses in the market. They're going to send you to the guy that puts 50 houses in the ground a year.
And spends a ton of money with them.
Yeah. And maybe
Building
that's
inspectors might be a good choice on.
maybe, but there's a little bit more personality that comes into play there, because you could be building a really, like, you could be doing passive house or a pretty good house and exceeding all the standards and doing stuff that's really comfortable and durable. And you could be a real dickhead and the inspectors not like you too. The BPI guys tend to be a little more diplomatic, I think.
And I don't know if you remember, Steve, when we were at Building Science Corporation, one of us, I think maybe both of us, went and did building science trainings for code officials. Oh my gosh. I mean, there were people there that were asleep from the second slide because they were so uninterested.
Continuing education credits.
Yeah. So I was really disappointed. But I've come across building inspectors that are real sources of knowledge, real sources of good references. It kind of depends on how seriously they take their job, like a lot of other things.
That's always my recommendation. Find a HERS rater or a BPI in your market. And chances are, if there's not one, you're going to have a damn hard time if you don't know somebody that's built what you want.
So do you basically say, go looking for one of the builders that I work with? Is that pretty much your answer, or?
No. I said we could find. I mean, with my network, I can pretty much find decent builders. I mean, I can just go to, for example, like Huber or Sierra Pacific and say, who's your rep in, Raleigh, Durham? And then call that rep and say, hey, I'm looking for a builder that has the capacity to do this, and that.
So that's a different route. You're going through manufacturers to find
Well,
builders.
because they get an idea of who's building good houses and who can listen, because they're trying to do somewhat the same thing I'm trying to do, right? Get out there, promote good building practices. And so they know who's listening, who isn't listening, who's paying attention, who isn't paying attention, who builds well, who builds not so well.
So I had the same conversation, and I sent for a while. I sent people searching for a Huber rep, thinking at least the builder's more worried about water. So hopefully that's a better thing. And I got word back from somebody who had talked to the Huber rep in their market, and the Huber rep had sent them to somebody that was using Huber. And that guy said, oh, no, we're just using it on that job because the clients wanted it. I don't think that's wasting money. And I was like, we might have to take a now, but you have the ability to like interview and interact.
Discreetly get the information, and then we go and talk to the builder.
Yeah.
So
But those are simple approaches.
Yeah. Well, so another one
Call
is
somebody else and leave me alone.
Martin Holliday in 2019 wrote a blog called the Green Building Community Board. And he said, we're going to try this on GBA, and it's just going to be a list of, and it's a list that the Green Building Advisor community builds, right? So he did a starter list, and he said, this is here for everybody to help build. And it's listed by region to try to get people connected with high performance building professionals.
Are you on that list?
I was blacklisted.
I could see that.
Really?
I don't know.
Yeah. Anyway, that I haven't looked at the community board lately, but he said, hey, let's just give this a try. And there's a string of comments about, hey, this is a great idea. Let's try to build a resource on the website. So there's that. And then I got so tired of getting this question, I thought, well, maybe what I should do is give a list of questions for clients to ask potential architects and builders. So I wrote up this thing. It's 6 questions, and the idea was this is a draft document.
Let me buckle up.
I was going to say, do we get to guess what some of the questions are? Is favorite color on there?
Favorite ice cream?
Yeah, if your favorite color is green.
Favorite ice cream?
No, you see, I took the time and effort to make this, and all you're going to do is cut it apart.
Yeah,
that's not what this is about.
That's kind of the point of this
okay.
whole friendship
All right.
thing here.
I should have.
It's just a crap on
If I didn't know that, I should be shot. Right?
Peter,
Okay.
I'm being very attentive here, please, and respectful.
Okay, so here's the question
Is
list
this
that I
number
built,
one?
and I'm hoping to build on it. So
Is this number 1?
I'm going to start with number 1.
Okay.
You're going to do them in order after that, too?
If they're not in order, I'm never going to get through this list. Do you attend any of these educational conferences? Building Energy, Better Buildings from Efficiency Vermont, Home Performance, that's new affordable comfort events, JLC Live New England. And notice I've tuned this to the Northeast, but the question could read, what are the high performance educational conferences in your area, and does your builder architect attend them? Any comments?
I was hoping that JLC wasn't on there, and I could be like, well, I'm out. I don't get to be a yes on this list because the other ones I haven't been to.
Yeah, interesting. Okay, so do you want to add to that, Steve?
No.
I think seeking outside educational opportunities is a...
And on a national
question.
level, I guess it could be EBA,
Yeah.
the Energy Environmental Building Association. Okay, question number 2. You're going to like this one, Jake. Are you a Building Performance Institute certified professional, or do you have a working relationship with one or more building professional, BPI professionals? So the Building Performance Institute is a pretty widely recognized building science-based that looks at both energy and moisture relationships in their work. And BPI, you can go to that website as a consumer, type in your zip code, and draw a circle. And if you can't find what you want, you draw a bigger circle. So that's a pretty good resource. Question number
Should have
3, Steve,
saved
you
that
still with
for
us?
Pete's resource.
Pete's
at the end.
resource, yeah. What high
Well, can I deny being a professional?
Seriously?
Building professional?
You're not
Well, not a BPI professional.
Oh, right.
Nor do I want to be one.
No, but you work with folks who are BPI certified, correct?
Yes.
Probably.
Probably.
No, keep going. Don't let
Question
me
number
get
3. What high-performance building/building science trainings have you completed? Anything by the Building Science Corporation? EBA Houses That Work. Building materials supplier sponsored high-performance building events. There's a building performance supply or high performance building supply in Portland, Oregon, Portland, Maine, and they sponsor high performance trainings like T.W. Perry did
Yep.
in the the Mid-Atlantic.
Oh.
Take a breath.
Heat Spring, which was that online training for high performance building. Yeah, might have to look that up on the internet.
I don't know
because
that
if
one.
They're still working. Do you have a building assessment form or process that you use? Do you guys, either of you, have a building assessment form? You can say that you use mine.
I don't use yours because I didn't know you had one.
I do.
I have a mental checklist. I do not have a form. I'm not that organized in that way.
I'll put that on your to-do list.
Okay.
Steve?
Nah, you know.
No, I know what you do with your clients.
I do homework.
That's exactly right.
But that's not a building. That's a design inquiry.
If you're looking for a high performance designer, ask them if they give homework. Do you think?
Yeah.
Okay.
We might run through.
I might do that question different. I don't know.
Yeah. I don't like the word
I'm
building
critiquing that one.
assessment. I don't like the word assessment.
What building information resources do you regularly use in your work? Fine Home Building, Journal of Light Construction, Green Building Advisor, the Building America Solution Center.
The UnBuild It podcast.
I'll have to add that to the list. I didn't want to be self-serving. But the Building America Solution Center is a really good resource.
Yeah.
Yeah. Last question. What types of
Is
building...
that on the internet?
No dessert for you tonight. You're being impolite. We're going to, take away your goodies. What types of building performance tools do you use in your work? Hygrometer, moisture meter, infrared camera, blower door, pressure gauge, psychrometric chart, or the psychrometric phone app? Jake, I think you could say
There's
probably...
quite a few of those there, yeah.
No, you do, I think, all of them. I think you have all this equipment. So you've expanded your tool belt to include trickle of tear down my cheek.
Yeah, I've entered the twilight zone.
Steve, we're going to have an intervention with you. This is about raising the industry. And
Welcome
all
to the
you've done
world.
is express disdain or lack of interest.
Welcome to the world of building science. You have now entered the twilight zone.
Anyway, so this was a starter list. We're going to put this on the website associated with this podcast. And we want to build the Green Building Community Board on Green Building Advisor. We want to take, I'm encouraging people to give me questions that we can add to this form.
So we'll make it a download available on the website.
Did
Why
I
don't you
not say
just
that, or
ask
I
me
didn't say
what
that?
questions I should ask? So you never asked me.
We look forward to you going to the website and adding your questions to this form.
Oh, I want to talk about them
You
right
can
now.
try now.
Right.
If you want to add
So
something
if
now.
I had to tell a homeowner what to ask, there's a bunch of questions. One, you would ask your architect, do you have a water management strategy when you design houses? Do you have an air barrier strategy when you design houses? Or what are your strategies for air barrier, water
control
management,
layers?
and thermal control and vapor?
And I like these questions, is if the person goes, "What?"
Right. You're not exactly. You're not
piss
necessarily trying to get
What they
their
are, just,
strategy.
do they
You're
know what
trying to
they
get
mean?
do they look at you like a deer in the headlights, or do they rattle off an answer?
This is the Steve Basic that I love, by the way. After you've done all your bullshit, you really do cut to the chase.
That's one of the questions you should be asking, and the same question for your builder to get the same reaction, because what you're trying to vet is the quality of the builder and their knowledge.
What's
Right?
funny
just
is
because I go to the EBA conference every year, it's good, but just because I go there every year might mean that, hey, there's some people there I want to see every year.
Right.
So I go there, we party, we go out drinking, the hell with the conference, but that doesn't make me a better builder necessarily.
When you go to the conferences, you go there
drink.
just to drink.
Well, you go there, catch up with friends, and go out and
So what's really funny is if I answered the phone and started a conversation with somebody and they started off by saying, "Can you tell me about your control layer strategies?" Even though I am well versed in what we do,
be
I would
pretty-
be so blown away by the question and on the spot that it would still start with like I didn't know what the question was. Like I would be so like, "What? How is this the question that you're asking? Like, how did you come up with this?"
It's hard to do it so that it feels like a natural thing, but I still think it's useful to.
well, it doesn't have to be the first question out of the gate. It's, hey, how do you operate? How do you bill?
Yeah.
What do you think the time frame is? Let me ask you just a few specific questions.
Have you ever
on-
slept with one of your clients' wives?
see?
Oh man, you're
you call me
just as
unprofessional.
incorrigible as he is.
Right? But it could be,
But you do it so pleasantly.
it could be the 8th or 9th question
Sure.
Yeah.
on the list. But hey, can you
slide 'em
and it can be just, hey, can you talk to me a little bit about what your strategies are for water management and air control?
And do you know what I like about that approach? If you start with, here's how we want to find how you're different, what we're trying to do is make high performance part of all the questions that we asked. I like that. That's very clever,
Do
Steve.
that, and you can ask the builders the same one.
Yeah.
And what after that? You said you had multiple questions. Do you have any more?
Well, that was like 5 right there.
Sure.
Yeah.
You know, one of the questions people always ask is that it's not so much when they're talking to the builder or architect, but when they're talking to references, like what should I ask references? One of the questions I always tell them to ask how the builder was the last 3 weeks of the project. Like,
Was he still there?
Was he still there? Was he in a hurry to get out of there? Was he making excuses for, I'm at this other job, I'll be there next week, or I'll do this? Or were they very attentive in closing out the job?
Now,
So I want to ask off topic, but on the topic of references. We've quit passing out contact information for references. It
It's
always
rare.
felt like I was pestering people.
Occasionally, I still get people that ask and say, hey, do you have like 2 or 3 people I can give a call to?
And it's like, if I come up with 3 phone numbers for you to call, they're going to be people that are going to say nice shit about me.
Yeah,
I'm
not
give
gonna
out
be
a name
anybody
that's
that-
in question.
What's
So
funny
it's
is
a falsity. Like,
I always think I have to have this. I've only had 2 clients in the whole time I've been doing this say, can you give us some references? So, and that was easy to do, and it worked real well. I said, you do realize they're going to be people that I handpick,
Yeah.
you know, for...
Well,
and
on the
I've had a
flip
couple
side-
ask and then not call. It was just like they wanted to see if I could come up with references.
Well,
and it's like,
but-
what are we doing?
But you know what else
I
happened?
give you my mom's phone number.
The 2 clients this happened with, they said, what we were really looking for was, did they like working with you? Like, you know, did you do a good job? You know, they didn't say
Did you
like,
work with them again.
there you go. And they said the client was just very supportive of, you should work with this guy because he knows what he's talking about and he's a pleasure to work with. So that's what they're looking for. What's interesting
Well, I
is...
was going to say, I was going to flip that around and say, but the danger also with references is in today's world of social media, right? It's not probably uncommon to have a client go awry and just say, you know what, he really pissed me off. Let me go write a bad review.
Yeah, but
on
I
this or
think
on
people,
that.
if they're savvy, they can... but what I was going to say is that it's interesting that the first question was about the Pretty Good House program. Nowhere in these questions did any of us think to say, what programs do you participate in? You need Lead for Homes, or, you know, that didn't occur to me, but I guess, does that have a place in the list?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's, I would more lump it in with, are you familiar with any of the current building parameters or whatever,
Yeah.
like passive house
Yeah.
and
Yeah,
this
that's-
and that, and can you speak to any experience
Yeah.
with those?
Okay, I'm going to add that one.
Because it doesn't mean that because I know architects and builders out there that have never built a passive house, but that doesn't mean they couldn't.
Yeah, I've never
Just
built one.
means they haven't had the opportunity yet.
So when we post the download of that interview questions I've done, how will people add to those? I guess just comment?
We probably will just have to do that as a respond with an email to us.
Yeah, okay.
Well, they could always
live-
post it in the comments.
They could, and then we could pull in
Yeah, you can post it in the
YouTube.
comments on YouTube. That'll work. Let's do that.
Okay, so Pete's resource for this question, how do I find these high-performance building professionals, is we're going to post a downloadable questionnaire, and then we're going to build on it.
Yep, and there'll be a link below the YouTube video to get to our website directly to Pete's document, so you don't have to go searching for it on our website. Go to the YouTube, watch the YouTube video, like and subscribe.
Wow.
And on that note, if you're listening on iTunes, please leave us a 5-star review. It's how other people find us. It's an organic growth button for us. Obviously, leave a good 5-star review and say nice things. Don't just say, hey, it's 5 stars. They asked us to make a 5-star review, so we're making a 5-star review.
Excellent.
Till next time, gentlemen, thank you for joining
Will
me.
there be one?
There's always a next time.
Wah, wah.
I miss you so much. There's always going to be a next time.
Have a good day.
Have a good day.
Have a day.
Have a day.